Welcome adventurers to another episode of me painting my miniatures. Now, as always, I'm not going to talk about how I actually go about painting them. We're going to do a lore video instead. And as always, this episode is chosen by my viewers on the community tab. So if you want to be a part of that, make sure you're checking in on the community tab. You can find it. You're intelligent. There I post updates and hold polls of what I might paint, and I give you the opportunity to pick. This week it was a draw between Maeve the Many-Armed and Johnny Alpha on a bike. As you can see, I am painting Johnny Alpha first. The reason for that is because I painted Wolf last week and I kind of want the pair together again. Wolf looks lonely. He needs Johnny riding along with him, so that's what we're going to do. And while you're watching me paint, I'm just going to go through the Wikipedia background on Johnny Alpha. So, Johnny Alpha is the main character in the Star-Lord in the 2000 AD comic strip Strontium dog. In the early days of the strip, Johnny Alpha resembled that of an old western, with Johnny Alpha and Wolf Sternhammer going from system to system, their names dragged through the mud because of what they do for a living. As the story established itself, many villains were encountered by our agents, and most were found wanting, and quite a few of the names on the list that they took down I've actually got the opportunity to paint in the near future, so that's going to be fun for everyone. He then moved into 2000 AD and the story slightly progressed. Didn't go too crazy from the originals, but it stopped being a western and started being more of a civil rights comic, if this makes sense to you guys listening to me. It became a fight for rights, a fight for freedom, Johnny Alpha becoming a symbol of hope, and it definitely turned into a more positive thing in the 80s, and I kind of love that because it felt very much of its time with the Thatcher era destroying the industries in the UK. I could imagine this was kind of a political statement of the mutants maybe representing the working class rising up against the power at the time. But they also kind of improved Johnny Alpha's backstory. So we find out that he was born John Creelman in 2150 AD and was warped in the womb with Strontium 90, fallout from a nuclear war that had devastated much of Earth earlier that year. His father was Nelson Bunker Creelman, who I also have a model of that I can paint, an anti-mutant bigot highly placed within the British government who hid his son's true nature from the world while drafting laws which made mutants second-class citizens. He also locked his son in a cell for 4 years. Rebelling against his father's evil, Johnny ran away to join the mutant army under the name Johnny Alpha. Reasons because he has alpha rays that emit from his eyes, allowing him to see through walls, which is a really cool power. At 17, he was one of the leaders of the mutant uprising of 2167, also known as the First Mutant War, and he fought along the generals Clacton Fuzz, Evans the Fist, Stud Boyce, Midden-Face McNulty, and the Torso from Newcastle. All of them, apart from, I believe, Clacton Fuzz, I've got painted. I do have Clacton actually sitting on my shelf, so he might end up into the poll for next week. But following the uprising, Creelman was disposed and fled Earth, but the mutant population was still largely confined to the ghettos like Milton Keynes. The members of the mutant army were pardoned for their actions only on the condition that they left Earth forever, and they became galactic bounty hunters based on the orbital space station known as the Doghouse, a search and destroy agent harshly nicknamed Strontium Dogs. Johnny Alpha was for many years one of the most noted and grudgingly respected of the Strontium Dogs, a man of fierce principles who took on some of the most bizarre assignments. He also found and killed the mutant terrorist William Blood Moon, responsible for the indiscriminate slaughter of Norms during the Mutant War. Johnny worked solo at first, but later had a number of partners, including the late Sniffer Martinez, the vampire woman Durham Red, Midden-Face McNulty, and most notably the time-displaced Viking warrior Wolf Sternhammer. He was also frequently accompanied by a nervous alien, a Gronk from the planet Blas in the Galileo system, who acted as his and Wolf's medic. Together they undertook cases as diverse as the hunt for Nelson Krillman, the so-called Schlicklubber Grab, which is them time-travelling to hunt down Adolf Hitler, and a trip to another dimension resembling the traditional Christian hell in search of the rogue SD agent Fly's Eyes Wagner. He also fought Krillman again in company with McNulty and several other SD agents, including the Torso, when Krillman and his henchmen, the Styx brothers, took over the SD agency. Eventually, the Gronk disappeared from Johnny's life, and Wolf was killed by Johnny's old foe Max Bubba in revenge for his earlier imprisonment at his hands. Wolf's untimely death was one of the most traumatic events of Johnny's life, causing him overwhelming grief and rage. He tried to deal with his emotions by hunting down and slaying Bubba, but discovered this made no difference. One of the jobs Johnny undertook in 2178 after Wolf's death involved neutralizing the necromancer Sabat. Since Sabat had hidden in a time period before that occupied by Johnny, this meant that Johnny had to travel back in time and team up with a reluctant Judge Dredd during the crisis thereafter known as Judgment Day. When Nelson Krillman's illegitimate son, Lord Sagan, attempted to implement his final solution, exiling all mutants to a hellish netherworld in another dimension, Johnny stopped him, seemingly at the cost of his own eyes and his life. His body was seemingly destroyed, but according to one account, the Gronk and the mutant Feral Jackson later discovered him seemingly mystically resurrected by alien necromancers who were torturing him in order to harness power from his suffering. The Gronk seemingly killed Johnny at his own request since he could not be freed. A more recent account of events following Sagan's final solution has thrown doubt on the accuracy of the previous one. Midden-Face McNulty and Johnny's old friend and reporter Precious Matheson discovered that Feral had lied about Johnny's body being destroyed in the other dimension and had, in fact, returned it to Earth. They also discovered on locating Johnny's body that he was apparently not truly dead, but somehow held between life and death. And Midden-Face elected to trade his own life to the alien stone wizards in return for Johnny's. The wizards resurrected Johnny with his powerful mutant eyes intact, but allowed Midden-Face to live regardless. Johnny went on to uncover a government plot to sterilize Britain's mutants, implemented by the evil aristocrats John Pilham Grenville. Revelation of this attempted genocide ignited the Second Mutant War, in which Johnny, Midden-Face, and Evans the Fist fought valiantly against opponents like the Norm Brotherhood, the gang of American anti-mutant cannibal rednecks led by Dad Nabbit. Johnny was aided and occasionally hindered by some sort of infant demon that had been living in his brain since his resurrection, but he finally managed to trick it into leaving him, and then used a time bomb to maroon it in space. During the war, Johnny displayed an unusual callousness and brutality even after evicting his unwelcome tenant. He went as far as ordering the execution of Norm civilians until Midden-Face convinced him that this would be a PR disaster and bring the Americans into the war on the Norm's side. Finally confessing that my head's not right, Midden-Face, hadn't been right since you dug me up, Johnny went on a suicide mission, detonating a bomb in the Parliament building where the architects of the genocide were being held. Unfortunately for Johnny, who had badly wanted to die, he actually survived the explosion and was nursed back to health by the Norms before being held in a top security jail on an island for 14 months. He was fed through a tube to stop him starving himself to death. Norm politicians then revealed that Johnny's friends Midden-Face, Evans the Fist, and Kidney 2 had been on the same island the whole time. To ensure his friends' continued health and well-being, Johnny was ordered to locate the missing despot Jim Jing Jong and thus avert a nuclear world war. Having located Jim Jing Jong in space, Johnny persuaded a pathetic starship captain to take him to the mutant free world of Fredonia, home to his friend Precious Matson. Johnny later formed a working partnership with Wolf's mutant son, Ketan Sternhammer, and that's pretty much where the story has ended. Now, obviously, I'm pretty sure for the most part, the Strontium Dog Johnny Alpha storyline has come to a close. The original artist having passed away, Carlos. I'm not sure Wagner is writing new stories for it. I could be wrong. If you know different to me, please drop it in the comments and let me know. But powers and abilities, this is the fun part. Johnny's eyes emit alpha rays which can enable him to see through solid matter and read minds in order to tell if someone is lying. If Johnny tries to really hard, he can move small amounts of matter or telepathically influence someone's mind. His friendship with Wolf was so strong that he once subconsciously detected that Wolf was in danger and sent him a message to warn him. What made this even more impressive was that Johnny was in a coma at the time. His other abilities include the ability to slow down his body's system almost to nothing, entering a death-like protective coma which has fooled people into thinking him dead. This, however, is extremely risky for him. He is also very skilled at fighting with a las whip and is a strong swimmer. He basically has the strength of a peak human male, so he's not a superhero, he's just above average human. And even though he does seem so cool, he does have weaknesses. He can't see through matter if it's too dense, i.e. a feet of rock or really thick smoke he can't see through, but a basic wall he could. Equipment, these bounty hunters from the future have some really cool gadgets, which a lot of them are in the game, which is great as well. But the big one is the time bomb. It places an object. It basically puts you in a bubble, holds you there, opens up. As far as you're concerned, no time has passed, but the world has moved on. Physically moved on, meaning that most of the time you're dumped into space and die, which is super harsh. There's time drogues, which can temporarily reverse time if used correctly. Very, very fun to see them used. There's time traps, which trap people in a repeated segment of time until they starve to death, which is a terrible way to go. Time shrinkers, which is fast forwards an object through time, causing it to age rapidly. He has his Electro Nux, which is a 20,000 volt knuckle duster. He has nuclear grenades, stasis grenades, dimension bombs, thermo bombs, a helmet containing a video recorder, a telekinetic shields which ward off psychic attacks, life wire, a thin razor edge but as strong as a steel cable, excellent for climbing and cutting people, anti-grav shoots, anti-grav globe which temporarily nullifies an area's gravity, a beam polarizer, he's got so many gadgets, electro flares, a blackout grenade, wrist computer, laser cutter, toolbox, medipacks, and the list just keeps going on and on and on. This gets pretty much dialed back in the 2000 AD era, where you normally just see him with Electro Nux, handcuffs, a sharp knife, his hand blasters, a flare. That's about it. It's crazy. The guy is just armed to the teeth. You name it, he'll use it. If it's there, he'll definitely be using it. His main weapons are his pistols, and he has the Westinghouse veritable cartridge blaster, which has different types of ammo depending on what he needs in that particular story. He's just such a great character. I love Johnny Alpha. I've read the entire story, I think, up until I want to say up until Carlos's death. I've read everything, so I'm pretty sure I've read all the stories. If there are new ones, then I've definitely not read them. But there you go. Right about now, hopefully you'll be seeing some glamour shots, and we've reached the end. Next week will be Maeve the Many-Arm, just because she drew, so she might as well get painted as well. And there'll be a poll up probably at the same time as this video for you to vote for the next model to get painted after that. So please make sure you join in, like, subscribe, all that good stuff. If you want to buy me a cup of coffee as the weather is getting colder now, that would be wonderful. There's a button down below the video. And yeah, if you could at least hit subscribe, that would mean the world to me. And I do appreciate you lasting this long through my video. And I will catch you in another video again real soon. As always, cheers for watching. Hey, thank you for watching this video. Make sure you like, subscribe, and then go watch this one. This one up here. Give it a click. Bye-bye.